The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Desde Brooklyn hasta el sol del Medio Oriente, José Flores con fuego en la mente. Raised in the Bronx where dreams don't sleep, donde el hambre te enseña a resistir. Section 8 life, no handouts, no cheat. He built his power from the pain on the street.
Cada golpe, cada lágrima caída fue el fuego que encendió su vida. Ahora camina con propósito y gozo. José Flores, hear the noise. De la calle al combate, turn his trials into faith. Con disciplina y con fe, now he rises every day. From the black to the world sin temor.
You ever need a haircut?
So
that these kids can learn how to play instruments or want to, not just learn, but want to. But I think that there's a major shift.
Iraq to Korea, he led from the front. Now he lifts others, never just stunts. Hoy es mentor, líder, amigo.
Mi gente, welcome to the Motivated Mindset. I'm your host, Jose Flores, a proud Latino born in New York City, straight out of the Bronx, raised in Brooklyn. And look, that New York City flavor, that hustle, that grit, it shaped me, built me, and still drives todo lo que yo hago. You see what I'm saying? Everything I do today, in this new chapter of my life, I wear different hats other than the school one. I'm a motivational speaker, a certified personal trainer, a certified mediator, and an end-of-life death doula. But behind every title is one mission: to serve. Because I know the struggle, what it feels like, what pain feels like, and things that are coming your way that don't always work out. Because every day, todo el día, my mission is simple: to inspire, to uplift, to challenge, to remind mi gente, my people, that no matter where you come from, no matter what life throws at you, dale duro. You can redefine your life through faith, discipline, resilience, and relentless drive. And like so many Latino families, my story begins long before I was born. My father came from Puerto Rico. My mother came from Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. They came to the United States chasing something bigger than themselves: opportunity, stability, and hope of creating a better life for their family. That's the story of so many Latinos in this country. People don't leave behind family, culture, language, and everything they've ever known because it's easy. They come because they believe in possibilities. They come because they want their children to have better opportunities that they may never had. They come to work hard, to sacrifice, to build, to serve. And every single day, Latinos contribute to this nation as teachers, business owners, healthcare professionals, first responders, military service members like me, hoorah, all right, entrepreneurs, laborers, community leaders, and public servants. We don't just help build America. We are part of the fabric of America, our culture, our values, our work ethic, our faith, and our commitment to family help strengthen communities across this nation. That immigrant spirit, that resilience, that determination to keep moving forward no matter what obstacle stands in your way. That lives in me todos los días, every single day. And one of the reasons this podcast exists, The Motivated Mindsets, is where we talk about resilience, we talk about culture, we talk about healing, leadership, discipline, optimism, and the courage it takes to keep moving forward when life hits you hard. We keep it real. New York City real. Talk to me. How you doing? You know, right? No fluff, no authentic. It's all about authentic conversations designed to help you grow, heal, and thrive. I'm also a combat veteran who served proudly for 30 years in the United States Army. Hoorah! From Desert Storm to assignments around El Mundo, the world. I've had the privilege of serving alongside some of the finest men and women this nation has ever produced. That experience, mi gente, taught me discipline, leadership, sacrifice, and the power of never quitting when the mission gets duro, when it gets freaking hard. You see what I'm saying? Before we get rolling, I want to send a powerful salute to all my veterans, active duty, service members, military families, and first responders que están oyendo hoy, that are listening. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Mucho respeto, much respect. You already know. Mira, check this out. One last thing before I let you go, right? Before we start. If you vibe with what you hear today, if this conversation, yay, inspires you, if you appreciate the interviews, the energy, because I bring it home every day. And the message, all I ask is that you support my YouTube channel, all our platform, hit like, hit subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a little motivation. Yay, woo, because your support helps us continue bringing you powerful guests, meaningful conversations, and purpose-driven content. You know what I'm saying, mi gente? So, I need you to do this. So now let's get ready to bring our guest on, because we're going to bring it on, because today's guest we have is an extraordinary guest whose story is a testament to resilience, reinvention, and the power of believing in yourself. Our guest is Catalina Restrepo, immigrated from Colombia to the United States as a child, and turned challenges into opportunities through education, determination, and an unwavering commitment to helping others. She is the founder of Restrepo Law Group, an award-winning immigration law firm that has helped thousands of families navigate their path toward a better future. But Catalina's journey did not stop there. Oh no. While building a successful legal career, she discovered a deeper mission: helping women, especially Latina. Oh, Tigrito, ¿qué es lo que te pasa? Check this out. Women transform their relationship con chavo, with money, abundance, and self-worth. Today, she combines her expertise as an immigration attorney and money mindset coach to empower others to take ownership of their finances, their decisions, and ultimately their destiny. You see what I'm saying? She is the author of Take Ownership of Your Finances and host of the Inspire podcast, Soy Poderosa. I am powerful. You know what I'm saying? Her story reminds us that success is not simply about, almost like he said, what you can achieve. It's about who you can become along the way. Catalina, we're going to welcome you the way we do everybody else. Let's do this.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Welcome, Catalina. Welcome. How are you?
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Amazing. I can't believe you were talking about me. Wow. Wow.
You are amazing. All you have accomplished, ma'am. Everything. Absolutely. You have earned it. It's awesome. And how are you today? How you doing?
I'm good. I am saying hello from Colombia, actually. So it's part of my life design, if you call it. You mentioned that I migrated from Colombia to the United States. That happened a while ago, and now reconnecting with my roots is part of this new lifestyle that I'm leading here.
That is stupendous. Thank you very much. Don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses. But check this out. Before we get into the Soy Poderosa, the coach, and all that, we want to know, ¿Quién es Catalina? How were you raised? Your childhood? Tell us who you are.
Well, like you said, my name is Catalina Restrepo, a very Colombian name, actually. I think when I was in middle school, when I still lived in Colombia, there were 3 or 4 Catalinas in my entire class. And then when I was 12 years old, my family migrated to the United States. We migrated to Minnesota. Not a very common place for Colombians to migrate at that time. But just like your family story, my family was looking for opportunities, was looking for different lifestyles. And actually, my dad had an uncle that had migrated many, many decades before. And so migration pattern, you go where you know people. So my dad decided to take his family where his brothers lived at that time. My uncles had migrated first. So here I was, 12 years old, into a new culture, new dynamic. Everything was different. And we migrated in December. So
oh my goodness.
Right in the middle of winter.
Wow.
But I remember being so amazed by seeing snow the very first time. Like I remember walking out of the airport and seeing the floors come down. And then we stopped at this restaurant. Like I'll never forget walking out of the car and just putting my hand like in this pile of white puffy snow, like one of those beautiful first snows where it just looks kind of like powder.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
just putting my hand on top of it and just feeling and just being so amazed by
Wow.
this beautiful, new, very, very different atmosphere. And then that was the beginning of many, many changes to come.
Wow. That is, man, December. Wow. That's cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a question. So are you what is the name of the football team? Are you a sports fan for them?
Vikings, go
Vikings.
Vikings. Go
Yes.
Vikings. It's funny because then I started learning, about the culture. I
Yeah.
learned how to throw a football. People ask me, what? A Colombian that knows how to throw a football? I'm like, yeah. And I know how to bat a baseball too.
Wow.
And I know how to ice skate. So it was the beginning of a lot of different adventures. Culture shock, to say the least, learning a new language. I didn't know English at the time.
Yeah.
So I was the new girl. And then I remember once I got to high school, I was the only Latina in my entire high school.
Wow.
So about 2,000 students, and I was the new girl because
Right.
we ended up moving into a different school district. So it was a smaller school. It was about 2,000 students, and most of them had gone to school from kindergarten, through
Right,
ninth grade at that time. So here I was, the shiny new toy. And I still have very, very good friends from that time period, but it was very difficult. I didn't realize how hard it was growing up, not seeing role models, not seeing people that look like you accomplishing things. And later I realized that I lost myself a little bit culturally, wanting to fit in, wanting to be like everybody else. And it wasn't until I got much older that I started really embodying who I was and embodying that Latino side, that I really enjoy, that beautiful culture, and seeing that within that difference, also there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Oh no, I can relate to that simulation. Look, I'm from New York, and some of us can't talk English very well. Thank you very much. I'll take another one. But I remember when I joined the military that and it was like going from Earth to Mars. It was a totally new culture, and I had to, in order to fit in, I had to assimilate. And I mean, being with African Americans, being with people who were Caucasian, and learning that if I needed to function, so I can truly understand, even those who are from here, that's a reality, and we have to fit in till we find. And like you, check this out real quick. I didn't learn to dance salsa till I went to Korea.
Oh my gosh.
Because I was like, Koreans like salsa, but because I didn't find my roots till after I left, because I lived in New York. It was Spanglish, so I can truly relate. And it wasn't until I left that I found who I was as a Latino. So I can truly relate. Now, what lessons did your parents teach you about what lessons did your parents teach you about education that still guide you today, especially coming here?
Actually, one that I always, and I say this all the time, estudia, que eso nadie te lo quita. My dad used to say that all the time. I'll be like, ay, dad, ay, papá, ay. But that motto has really gotten me to where I am today. Once I got to college, then I focused on, okay, what is it that I want to do? And it was the first time I saw somebody that looked like me. One of my professors is a Mexican attorney. She actually still practices law in Minnesota. And I saw her and I was like, wow, when I grow up, I want to be like her. So that kind of sparked that desire to become an attorney. But then I started studying, and then throughout my career, obviously, to keep my license up to date, I have to keep studying. And then immigration law, that's something that keeps us on our toes. So I have to keep studying. But when I started practicing law back in 2011, my first boss at that time had been practicing longer than I had been alive. So I started to see his lifestyle. I started to see that he had been practicing for more than 30 years. And it was not the lifestyle I really wanted for myself. So I started looking around to other lifestyles, and I wanted to, expand into something else. And someone came to me and presented the opportunity of network marketing. And the very first thing that they said to me is, well, you have to study. And then it clicked. Okay, well, what is it that I need to study?
Right.
And then I started going to events, and I started listening to audios, and I started reading different types of material that it was like foreign to me, because now it was, learning about your personality, learning about yourself. And then that way you can learn about others. I started learning about finances. Something nobody had ever taught me. It started opening up a door to a different new world. And then it really clicked for me to see all these other people wanting other people to succeed. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Let me keep studying. And when I started presenting the opportunity to people to join my business as a network marketer at the time, a lot of people would say, well, I don't have time and I don't have money. And so it just kind of como que me hizo cortocircuito, like it didn't really click. How can you tell me we're in the United States, the country of opportunities, and you're telling me you don't have time and that you don't have money? And when we start looking at those two concepts, we really start seeing that we do have time. We all have the same 24 hours. Yeah. Bill Gates doesn't have 30 hours.
That's right.
We all have the same 24 hours. So we do have the time. We're just not organized. And then when we talk about money and we start really digging into what that looks like, I discovered that as a Latino, we tend to have all these negative thoughts around money. Yeah. All these limiting beliefs like money is bad, prefiero ser pobre pero honrado. Who heard that one? I'm like, well, no. But my white side, my white friends never talked about that. They were like, if someone has gotten from point A to point B, that just means there is already a way to get there. And if nobody has gotten from point A to point B, that just means I can be the first one. Right. Versus our Latino community is like, well, I don't know if I want to get to point B. Tal vez me pasa algo. A lot of fear, a lot of, and when we start looking at a social context of our culture, there is a lot of fear around our culture, and it's understandable, but that doesn't mean we can keep ourselves in that position. And I think that's where I started exploring other areas. And that's how my book came about. Yes. That's how this podcast came about. But I went a little further because when we talk about money, we talk about finances, and we see all these people talking about it. It's usually men talking about it, which is great. Thank you. But us women, we look at money and we look at being worthy of it from a different perspective. So I decided I wanted to open up different spaces for us women to have these conversations. And it's funny because from time to time, I'll get men to message me like, well, why are you excluding us? It's not that I'm excluding you. And I want to thank you, men out there, for being our allies. But look at it this way. As women, we couldn't open up a bank account by ourselves in the United States until 1972 or 1973. Wow. In Colombia, we couldn't open up a bank account by ourselves until 1975. And then there's still countries out there that today in 2026, women cannot open up a bank account by themselves. So it's not that I'm excluding you. It's just that I'm opening up spaces for us women to have these conversations in a safe space. Sometimes we may feel judged for making certain money choices, or, usé la tarjeta de crédito de nuevo. And it's like, hey, let's talk about those. No judgment, from a different perspective. And that's all I'm doing, just creating a different space. So definitely not excluding my men, but just shifting a little bit to create a different perspective.
I can relate to that. Growing up, it was about trust. My parents, trust in the institutions, which they didn't.
Correct.
Yo me recuerdo en los días cuando tenían food stamp that looked like Monopoly money. And my dad used to send me, hey, go get me some cigarettes. Hey, when you go there, put it on my credit. My mom's bank was the mattress, un de eso de Bustelo, un can, you know. So how did that affect me growing up? That my first years in the military was a total financial waste. Oh my God, I had a great time. Thank you very much. But it was, I knew nothing about saving money. They used to pay me and I didn't know about paying myself first.
Yes.
You see, we didn't understand the concept of, you know, mutual funds or compound, blah, blah, blah. You know, it wasn't until, como tú dijiste, lo blanco, that they would talk to me and say, you know, you got to put money away. And I'm like, well, how do you do that? And I got a lesson. So you're absolutely correct. You know, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to start talking about how you started your business and how that came about. And then we're going to go right to this. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Thank you.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana, to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop, and his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's the line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Front line, pay the ultimate price. He was the man of the house when he was born. His family is proud but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flag still wave. And then he came home with only one hand. 'Cause Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down here to lie. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. March in line, march in line. Hey. Hey.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at mbradio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Hoorah. All right. Okay. We have Catalina on Colombia. That's what I'm talking about. So we had left off, and we have a few questions. And so before we get to the questions, we want to talk about, what made you, what was the inspiration to start your own law firm?
It was always in the back of my mind. I saw my dad be an entrepreneur when we lived in Colombia. He had a small business, a small picture framing business in Colombia. And, he was the owner of his time. And then my uncle, when we moved to the United States, he was also a small business owner. So I saw entrepreneurs around me. And then I didn't like the way things were going where I was working. And I didn't like being told what to do. So I was like, I don't want to do things this way. Let me do them my way. Yeah. So I went ahead and I borrowed, I'll never forget, I borrowed $2,800 from my uncle. And I was really scared. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay this back? At that moment in time, this was back in 2016. To me, it was like something astronomical. And I remember I had to buy a copier. I said to myself, if I have a copier, then I'll be able to make all that, because at that time, immigration law was completely on paper. So if I had to file, for example, an asylum application, it would be like 4 or 5 copies of these packets. So in my mind, I was like, if I have a copier, I have a computer, then I'll be able to work. So I remember buying this copier for $700 and thinking it was just a huge purchase at the time. And I just kept praying and I said, God, if I'm in this position, tú proveerás, you'll provide. So I just kept thinking I'll be able to make ends meet. And I did. I made ends meet. And it's been a journey. But what I tell every entrepreneur, I got an education as an attorney. So my education as an attorney is very different than my education as a business owner. And any person that's out there that's thinking about starting a business, that's great. Do it. Once you get a taste of having freedom, quote unquote, then you won't want to go back. But do it in a way that you have your ducks in a row. And what I mean by that is, you have your profession and you're an excellent at your profession. Now you're going to become a business owner. You need to switch that mindset. And you mentioned something very important earlier, that you didn't pay yourself first.
Yes.
A lot of business owners, we make that mistake where we pay everyone else and then we're the last ones to get paid. So I made a lot of mistakes throughout. I don't call them mistakes. I learned a lot of things. Throughout this journey. But the biggest thing, and I tell people this, if you're starting your business, make sure that you are putting yourself on that payroll. You should be the very first person to get paid. And it's going to be scary. And it's going to be like, oh my gosh, what if I can't? Let me tell you something. Dios proveerá. Because if you put yourself first, then everything else conspires to align to make sure that you're provided for. You need to provide for yourself first. And that means putting yourself on a payroll. That means getting an accountant. That means learning that your team is going to be better than you, and make sure that you pick the people that are better than you for certain positions. For example, doing the accounting. I knew that I wasn't an accountant from the very beginning, and I knew that Uncle Sam needed to get paid. So my very first hire was to make sure I had an accountant. I didn't make very good choices because I didn't understand how that switch was. My mindset was as an employee, I would get a W-2, everything was already taken care of. However, when I made that switch to being an entrepreneur, I needed to learn and again, educate myself to being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's deep. Yeah. Because I would tell you, it was crazy how people who are my age when I was younger, how do you get that card? You know, and was like, and here I'm still taking a taxi because I didn't pay myself first when I was working, you know, investing. And we have a question from Rosa from New York City. She said, you lead a growing team at Restrepo Law Group. What leadership lessons have you have shaped the way you mentor and empower your staff?
I love that question. So I'm a firm believer that if someone's out there that already has the results I want, then I want to copy them. However, I have a team. So I want to make sure that my team is aligned with my vision. So I don't just educate myself. I also have my team get educated, not only on the systems and procedures for our firm, but also on a personal level, because I want them unblocking their mindset. So I'll give you an example. Back in 2023, I did this transformational leadership coaching program. And it was like 3 steps kind of situation. So after the first level, which was an entire weekend, I was like, wow, this information I think everyone should have access to, and just kind of like I started seeing things from a different perspective. And at that time, I wanted our team to hit certain goals. And every time I would talk about those goals, people would get really scared. People would be like, oh my gosh, I would be like talking about making 25, 30 grand a week. And they would be like, what? Well, that's a lot of money to make for an entire week. However, when you have a payroll that's about twice that a month, and the numbers add up. So you have to have big goals to be able to have a firm to function. So at that moment, I said, what I'm giving you guys is not inspiring. You still have, you still have these limiting beliefs. Let's go do the mentorship. So my firm, to be, employed at this office, there are certain mentorship programs that we go through outside of the firm, because I want us unblocking like the next level, when you play Super Mario, you're off to the next level.
Yes. Oh, Mario. Yeah. I got it.
So we all get educated, not just from the information that I'm receiving, but also from the mentorships I receive. We do different mentorships as a team.
Okay. No, that's really good. It's about building up your team, because truly, when I was in the military, true leader happens when you're not there. How does the team do when you're not there? Right there. So that's a good way to do it. We have another question from Carlos in DC. He says, your team is bilingual and deeply community centered. How does language, culture, and trust building shape the way you approach each case?
You asked me that, and the very first thing that comes to my mind is the word compassion. Everyone at our firm has their own immigration story. None of us were born in the United States, and we've all had different process that has led us to be here, right? And so our empathy, our compassion, being able to communicate with the client when they come in, with their fears, with their uncertainty, and just being able to tell them, hey, we've been in your position. We've been in your situation. We know what it's like to not know what's going to happen. Has really, I think, created that trust component, and definitely honesty. I'm not there to tell people, hey, we're going to make it happen when I know we can't, because I feel that would be giving people false hope. And there's too much of that out there. I prefer to be honest and tell you, hey, I can't do it. Or, hey, we can try. It's hard. Maybe it will work. But then they have realistic expectations of, what can or cannot happen in their case.
Being transparent is important. Absolutely. No, absolutely. And we have another question from Julia from New Mexico. And it says, pivoting away from a stable legal career takes immense courage. What mental barriers or doubts did you have to dismantle to take that leap?
Most people in this is a conversation I have with myself sometimes, that like most people out there have people around them that don't believe in them. And it's more like, oh, why you're going to start a business? You're not meant for that. On the contrary, my family is very supportive with all my crazy ideas. And on the contrary, they're very like, yes, you can do it. So my conversation at times had been, well, what if I can't?
Right.
What if I fail? So it goes back to many times having that imposter syndrome
Yes.
come and just being like, hey, you made it this far. And so sometimes, like when you announce me, hearing you talk about me, and I'm like, wow, I have done a lot. I have made progress, because sometimes when you're here in your bubble, you can't see really how far you've come. But sometimes it takes that outside perspective to really kind of, hey, you've done good job, and you pat yourself on the back.
No, Catalina, I still have those self-talks with myself. I still have imposter syndrome. Like before I get ready to talk to a crowd of people, it still hits me. It's like, man, can I do this? So I can truly relate to that. I still have to have those self-talks when you have those doubts, como el diablo y en ángel, you can't do that. Yes,
Why are they going to listen to you? What's your experience? No, but you've done this. Definitely. But, and I tell people, like, we're still going to have these doubts. We're still going to have these conversations, but it's just a matter of how fast are you going to go through and break those mental barriers, not keep yourself stuck in that conversation. Because if you get stuck in that conversation, then you're really not going to be able to give the world all, every wonderful thing that you have to share.
Absolutely. And we have a lot to give us Latinos. We're spicy. I'm just putting it out there. Wait, check this out. We have another question. Oh, this is one that says, Hola, Catalina. This is from Yvette from the DMV. You've shared that you were the only Latina in your school. What guidance would you offer to anyone who finds themselves as the only one in a room, a workplace, or community?
I feel that that's an amazing place to be, because that just means that you're the first one. You're the first one to make that impact, to make that imprint, to show people that being different is not so bad, and that, you have all these amazing qualities to break through. And keep in mind that you may be the first one, but there would be a lot of people behind you. So you could be an inspiration to somebody else.
No, that makes perfect sense. I know I've been in places where I'm the only bald guy. Man, what am I going to do? I'll make an impression. But we have another question. It says, your firm emphasizes honesty, ethics, justice, and respect. How do those values guide the way you advocate for clients who often feel unseen or unheard? Santiago from Texas.
Wow, Santiago, that's a very good question. And I feel that those are core values, not only for my firm, but for myself. Being transparent, being honest, have ethics. I feel like ethical is such a loosely used word, but to me is, what person are you being when nobody else is watching? It's really easy to quote unquote do the right thing when you're being watched or when there are consequences, but who are you being when nobody's around? Because ultimately you are having that conversation with yourself. So to me is very important to not have that only at my firm, but as part of my lifestyle, to give the best version of myself to others, not just my clients, but my family, my friends, and those around.
Yeah, no, that is the true definition of integrity. Doing it when no one's looking, doing it. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Wow. Yeah. When I was a private E1, I didn't have too much of that. If I can get away and get over, I would. That was the private in me, not now.
But you learn. But you learn.
You live and learn. No, you're absolutely correct. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, after I had to, cut grass with scissors, and it was like an acre long. I did the right thing from then on. We have another question that says, what mindset shifts do you believe every woman must take to reclaim their financial power? Sophia from Maryland.
That you're worth it. That you're worth it. That you're worth the extra pair of shoes, that you're worth having a raise at your job, that you are worth it. And you're worth it not because of what you've accomplished, but you're worth it just because you've one. You're here. Think about the millions of sperms that could have, implanted into, your mom and dad coming together.
Yeah.
And this is you won.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think many times we miss that perception that
Yes.
we are already winners and we are worthy of all the wonderful things that come our way.
Mm.
And sometimes I think it goes back to that Latino mindset
Yes.
of like, de eso tan bueno no dan tanto. I hear that so much. And I'm like, no, de eso tan bueno sí dan, because I am worthy of receiving all those wonderful things.
No, absolutely. And Sophia, thank you for that question, Sophia. What I want to do is get into how people can get a hold of you, and we'll keep taking questions, but I hand it off to you, Catalina, what we have here.
Well, this is my website, my Restrepo Law Group, which is located in South Florida, but we represent people all over the United States, and I even have some clients overseas as well. Like mentioned before, honesty, ethics, justice, respect, those are all part of our values, not just for our firm, but also for ourselves and for every person on our team. Being ethical is very important to us. And obviously, we're here to not only provide people legal advice, but to teach them a little bit about procedures, systems, when we move to a different country, learning who we can trust and we cannot trust. I'll give you an example. Notarios, notaries. They have a very different meaning in our Latin American countries. They have to go to school. They have to have certain training. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that goes behind being a notary or a notario versus in the United States. In the United States, you have to take a 4-hour class and then that's it. So the perception is very, very different. And getting legal advice from an accredited attorney is so, so important versus legal advice from la tía, el primo, el señor de la tienda, and everyone and their mother, because even though they may mean well, they're not really experts in the field. And so I really emphasize people to not only learn about getting legal advice from an accredited person, but really pay attention who's giving the advice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We service a wide variety of clients, family petitions, asylums, U visas, which to me are very, very important. Those are visas for people that have been victims of certain crimes. I have to say those are my favorite. Mm-hmm. It's really tough situations because the crimes are very hard. Sexual assault, murder. I had a client whose daughter was abused by her boyfriend and she died from the injuries. And then we're in the process of obtaining a U visa because she helped with the investigation. So I feel like people in really difficult situations that are able to use that to, get a little bit of peace and safety in this country. BAWAs, people that are victims of domestic violence. We are seeing more and more of those because people are, empowering themselves to really speak up as to the situations that they're living and going through. We do appeals. We do Ley de los 10 años. I love those as well. People that have been in the United States for more than 10 years, and we're able to document that. And that they have either children, spouses, or parents that cannot live in any other part of the world. Usually is related to health issues. Travel permits, visa extensions, something that's not there that we do a lot of, and I love it. And it's involving our military members, which I thank you for their service, for your service. So what happens is there's something called a parole in place. So let's say that, undocumented parents have children and then they go and serve the military. The children can ask for this parole for their parents to be forgiven their illegal entry. The key point is that it can only be one illegal entry. So if the parents have multiple entries, then there's a series of complications. But then this parole forgives that illegal entry, then we can do a full petition. And then they can possibly receive their green card, their legal permanent residency inside the United States. So it's a little, you know, hidden gem, I would
That's
say,
cool.
for those service members. And it works for, you know, parents or spouses. So a lot of things.
That's awesome. Thank you for having that service. All right.
Yes, yes. And then we have a blog. We'd like to keep people in the loop as to what's happening. Obviously, immigration law is changing daily, I would say.
Yes.
So keeping people informed, giving them reliable information is super important. Estudie, porque eso nadie se lo quite. This is part of
Sí,
that,
sí.
you know, teaching people. Estudiamos lo que necesitamos de verdad.
Sí, sí, seguro que sí. Absolutely, absolutely.
And then testimonies. This is beautiful to see my clients when we're able to help them, when we're able to actually, Braulio Romero and his wife were beneficiaries of a parole in place. They had 2 children, both of them in the service. I think they were in the Army. And then we were able to get them the parole, and then they were able to get their legal permanent residency status in the country. So beautiful to see my clients, you know, grow. I've had cases pending for many, many years. I've seen families have, you know, children have children,
Yes.
and die many times. I've had a couple unfortunate situations, but seeing them, you know, build their lives in the United States is really, really beautiful.
That is stupendous.
They can contact us writing at our email, calling us, or visiting us in person. If you're in Florida, you're more than welcome to stop by our office. We would love to have you, and more than welcome to, if you have an immigration case, you know, schedule a consultation or, you know, a second opinion or a third opinion, more than welcome to.
Cool. Hey, coaching.
Yes. So I discovered I like to empower women. I like to guide them and provide them kind of a different lens to look through. Because many times when we're in difficult situations, we only see, you know, we have that tunnel vision.
Yes.
And sometimes having somebody step away from the problem and guide you, because I don't feel like I give people answers. I think we all have our own answers within ourselves. And it's just a matter of having a different perspective for us to be able to reach those answers. And that's where I wanted to focus more towards, you know, guiding people into ser, hacer y tener, because it's who you're being in the process that's really going to get you even further.
Cool beans. And
yes. So then, you know, you can contact me through Instagram. I focus on money mindset coach, you know, making that switch of, hey, am I worthy? Is this really something that I deserve? And, you know, having a solid yes, of course you deserve it, but it's a work within, and going through that journey together is something that I love doing.
I see. Absolutely.
People can also reach me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I think I have all the platforms.
Yes, I think you do.
But it's just to give people different avenues, you know, to see things from a different perspective. And then that led me into creating Soy Poderosa, another podcast. So it's different being on this side of things.
Yeah. And you're doing good. I'm proud of you. You're doing very good.
Thank you. And that podcast is, again, creating those spaces to be able to talk about different things. I've had a lot of people on my podcast, different backgrounds, you know, entrepreneurs, business owners, employees. You know, I like to have a wide variety of women on there. And we talk about all sorts of issues, because I feel like it's important to, you know, have those spaces to really connect with other women and empower us. We
Yes.
are very, very powerful beings. So, soy poderosa, keep
Yeah, hey,
telling yourself that.
I subscribe, by the way.
Thank you.
Just so you know, I know all about the algorithms and the numbers and everything. So I subscribe. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
let's talk about the author.
So, going through my journey, I discovered that I wanted to put some of the things that I've learned on paper. And this is my book. It's 6 chapters. And then after each chapter, there is activities, because I feel like creating that momentum, creating that action. And one of the things on my book, we don't talk about financial strategy. Like, I'm not going to tell you where
Right.
to invest or anything like that. That's why we have financial advisors and we have those professionals. But if you don't have the mindset to be able to create those investments, if you're going into money management out of fear, out of, lack, then it doesn't matter how much money you're going to make. You're going to always go back into that lack mode.
Yeah.
So my book is just about, clearing that mental path a little bit to create that abundant life and designing the life that you desire ultimately.
So, ladies and gentlemen, get your phone out, hit that QR code. It will take you right to Amazon. I know, because I'm about to order me one. So I went to it, so I'll be ordering it too, So make sure you do that. And these are the ways, all yours, Catalina.
Yes. So Restrepo Law Group, if you want legal advice or if you have questions, my own personal coaching page, if you have, questions, you want to talk about different financial money blocks that you may be having, we have a free course that people can subscribe to. We also have a paid one that goes, much deeper. So we have different avenues. Also, my podcast, I invite everyone to come and listen. If you want to ever be on my podcast, write to us. I'm always open to hearing women's stories and would love to have you on the podcast, and obviously my Instagram.
Yes. So make sure you take phones out, check them out. I've checked them all out. They are stupendous. But there's another word that Catalina made that I don't got that one down yet.
Fantabulous. Fantabulous.
It's fantabulous. So, ladies and gentlemen, and we have a telephone too that's going across the screen. Make sure you get that number. So we got 2 more questions we're going to go into, and then any last comments you may have. So the other we have a question that says, what is one non-negotiable habit in your morning routine that keeps your mind grounded and motivated for the day? Daisy from New Orleans.
I always pick something to be grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
So I wake up and my mind has a bazillion things going on, but I always, every single morning, it could be something as simple as waking up in a new city
Right.
or, like the coffee that I'm drinking, but
Mhm.
picking something that I'm grateful for that has really, really, I think changed that perspective and that mindset around the entire day.
Gotcha. And we got the last question. It says, if you could speak to your younger self, what message would you give her Yvette, from the DMV area?
Oh my gosh. I think I would tell myself to believe more of all the things that I'm capable of doing, not to doubt myself so much. I think it's taken me quite a while. I think I'm 43 right now, and I feel like it took me 40 years to really embody myself and really believe that everything that I'm doing not only has, I want to say, a selfish purpose because I enjoy doing it, but it's also touching the lives of somebody else. Even though you may not see the impact that you're making in someone else's life, that I am making an impact.
Yeah. And Yvette says, amen for that. Any last words or anything you want to put out that maybe we didn't cover? Just any wisdom from them.
Any wisdom? Oh my gosh! Wow, that's so. Okay. I would say going back to really building the best relationship you can with yourself. I think many times we put others before us, and we want to give others a lot of the things that many times we're not even giving ourselves. So whatever it is that you're doing, whatever path you're taking, work on having the best relationship with yourself.
Thank you for that. And I want to say thank you for being on our podcast. It's been stupendous looking at all your stuff and all you have accomplished. And I know there's a little girl watching this say, I want to be like her.
Thank you.
I know, I already know it, So before I let you go, let me introduce you to my followers who our next guest is next week. And let me see, I got her, and she is Miss Tucker Miller. She got a story, but she is has 35 years of experience spanning law, human resources, consulting, sales, and executive leadership. So, like August 29, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you join us for that, But I want to say, Catalina, thank you for gracing us with everything. It's been awesome. And you're in Colombia. That is stupendous.
I want to thank you. Thank you for this amazing space. Thank you for having me. Thank you for all the listeners to, take the time to listen to my crazy story. Oh. And I really do appreciate this space, and I appreciate the wonderful, amazing, stupendous energy you're providing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome. And everybody's saying thank you, gracias, great information. They really, really appreciate it. And when you put out your next book, make sure you contact us so we can have you on. And if you have any events coming up, please let us know so we can support it. Bottom line,
thank you so much
for what you do. So I want to say, everybody, gracias to the followers for being here and for always supporting. And I know Colombia, the weather's nice right now, ain't it?
It's beautiful. It's been raining the last couple of days, so it's nice and cool in the morning. I did have to whip out the long underwear yesterday because it was a little too chilly for me, but it's been beautiful the last couple of days.
That is stupendous. Well, you have a great day, and thank you again for being here. Gracias. All right.
Gracias.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.